Ever feel like your love life is just on repeat? You know, the same arguments, the same frustrations, the same kind of story just with a different person? Well, let's get into why this keeps happening. The key to breaking this cycle might be a lot closer than you think.
Yeah, we've all been there. You meet someone new, everything's exciting, and then, well, before you know it, you're right back on that same old hamster wheel of frustration. You're having the exact same fight you had in your last relationship. It's so easy to just throw your hands up and decide you're just unlucky in love, right?
And when things get tough, what's our go-to move? The blame game. We start listing all their flaws, all the things they do wrong, thinking if they would just change, everything would be amazing. But what if all that finger pointing is just a distraction? What if it's keeping us from seeing the real reason we're stuck? What if the problem isn't them at all?
We all have this list in our heads, don't we? The dream partner checklist. We want someone who is loving, supportive. We want to feel like a team. But here's the paradox, isn't it? There's often this giant, gaping chasm between the partner we say we want and the person we actually keep choosing. Why is that?
So let's try on a pretty radical idea for a second. What if your partner isn't the source of your problems, but is actually a messenger? What if they're just a mirror reflecting something that's already happening inside of you?
This is what we call the mirror effect. The idea here is that your subconscious has almost surgically selected a partner who is perfectly designed to push all of your buttons. And you might ask, why on earth would it do that? Well, to bring your oldest, most deeply buried issues right up to the surface so that you finally have a chance to heal them. Seriously, think about it. That one thing that drives you completely crazy about your partner. Maybe it's that feeling of being ignored or constantly criticized. The mirror effect says that feeling isn't new. They didn't invent it. Their behavior is just a giant spotlight, and it's shining right on a wound you've been carrying around for a very, very long time.
There's this kind of brutally honest theory for this called the chancla theory. Now, a chancla is basically just a simple, worn-out flip-flop. And the theory goes like this. You don't attract the partner from your fancy checklist. You attract a partner who is a direct, energetic match for your own level of self-worth. So if deep down you feel like a chancla, disposable, easily overlooked, you'll subconsciously find a partner who treats you that way. Why? Because it feels familiar.
Okay, so if we attract who we are, not who we want, then where in the world did that programming come from? To really understand this whole mirror thing, we've got to go way back. We have to look at the original source code, the software that got installed in our operating system when we were just kids.
Your first ever classroom for love? It was watching your parents, how they argued, how they showed affection or didn't, how they treated each other. You absorbed all of it without even realizing it. And that became your unconscious blueprint for what love is supposed to feel like. So as an adult, your subconscious isn't out there looking for a healthy partner. Nope. It's looking for a familiar one.
So, just how much of our life is being run by this old, outdated software? Well, according to the cell biologist, Dr. Bruce Lipton, the answer is staggering. He found that around 95% of our life is governed not by our conscious wishes and goals, but by the subconscious programs we picked up in childhood.
Just let that sink in for a second. That ideal partner checklist we talked about, all your conscious hopes and dreams for love, that's all operating with just 5% of your brain's processing power. The other 95% is the autopilot, constantly scanning the environment for someone who just feels familiar based on that childhood programming, whether it was healthy or not.
And this brings us right back to those fights, those same repetitive, draining arguments. See, if our subconscious is running 95% of the show, then these fights are almost never what they seem to be on the surface. They are not rational adult disagreements over who should take out the trash. They're echoes from the past.
The source material actually has a name for this: venza, or infantile vengeance. It's when your partner does something small, like they run a few minutes late, but instead of feeling mild annoyance, you feel this huge, overwhelming wave of panic and rage. That's not an adult reacting to a traffic jam. That's your inner child having a full-blown tantrum, lashing out because an old wound, like a fear of being abandoned or forgotten, just got poked.
And the scale of this is pretty shocking. It's estimated that over 90% of our recurring fights aren't actually adult-to-adult conversations. They're our inner child reacting to a pain from the past. And that's why these fights feel so crazy, so irrational, and why they never, ever get resolved.
So what's fueling these big reactions? Well, you can think of it like we're all carrying around this suitcase from our childhood, and it's full of projectiles. The source material identifies these as the 5 core wounds: the sharp sting of rejection, the deep panic of abandonment, the shame of humiliation, the sharp pain of betrayal, and the hot rage of injustice. When we get into these fights, we're really just opening that suitcase and launching these old hurts right at our partner.
Okay, I know this can all sound a bit heavy, but this is actually where it gets incredibly empowering. Because if the problem is your own internal programming, that means you have the power to change it. You can stop trying to fix the mirror, and instead, you can start working on the person looking back at you.
So, let's go back to that ideal partner checklist from the beginning. Remember all those amazing qualities? Loving, supportive, respectful, kind, attentive. All those things you've been searching for in somebody else. Well, here's the big reveal, the big twist. That list, it was never a shopping list for another person. It has always been an instruction manual for you. All of those things you desperately want from a partner, love, support, respect, kindness, are the very things you need to start giving to yourself.
The real work, then, is learning to reparent your own inner child. And here's a really simple 3-step way to start. First, next time you feel triggered in a fight, just pause and listen to your feelings. Second, ask that hurt little part of you, what do you really need right now? Is it to feel safe, to feel seen? And third, and this is the most important part, you give that to yourself. You become the one who says the words you've always needed to hear.
And you know, once you start doing this work consistently, the entire goal of being in a relationship starts to transform. It's no longer this desperate search to find someone to complete you or to fix your childhood wounds.
You actually shift from a childlike approach to an adult one. So instead of blame and demands, you move towards empathy and partnership. Instead of trying to control things, you have shared, respected power. And maybe most importantly, you stop making your partner responsible for your happiness and you take 100% responsibility for it yourself. It is a total game changer.
And this becomes the new destination. You can forget that old myth about finding your other half. The real goal is for 2 whole, complete, and independent people to choose to share their lives together, not because they're needy and broken, but because they're walking side by side from a place of strength and genuine partnership. Because ultimately, it all boils down to this one simple truth. The relationship you have with yourself, the way you talk to yourself, the love you show yourself, the promises you keep to yourself, that becomes the blueprint for every single other relationship you have. It sets the standard.
So I want to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. All that time you spent searching for the one, hoping and praying someone would finally come along to save you. What if all along, you are the person you've been waiting for?